Welcome into the DGD Podcast. As always, Robert Reynolds, Kobe Pierce. Kobe, how you doing, man?
Good. Enjoyed my PTO.
Oh, look at you, man! Oh, man. Let's listen. Ole Miss got wrecked Saturday night to the tune of 52-17. Don't think we called that the right way, prediction wise. But nonetheless, there's a lot to talk about, take away from that. Also, y'all know how it goes. Your team is trashed later on in the show, right? Obviously, the biggest news over the weekend, Texas A&M guys firing Jimbo Fisher. So if you're in the chat, let's see what the poll says. Who should Texas A&M hire? Let us know in the comments below too. But in the meantime, let's jump into this. 52-17, like I said, it looked close for about a quarter, Kobe, and then just everything just seemed to just go Georgia's way, just had your way, right? Overall, what were your takeaways for the game?
Yeah, it's like the lady that was sitting next to me at the game. When we were talking, she was like, how do you think this is kind of going to go? And after our second drive when we scored, I said, if we stop them from scoring one more time this half, I said, we're going to be up 2 touchdowns minimum going into halftime. I said, and then in the second half, we get the ball first. I said, we could be up 3 touchdowns at some point in this game. Now, did I think even then that it was going to turn into the blowout it did? Yeah, probably not quite, but I mean, man, the defense lit it up. The halftime adjustments were elite as always, and you just made it a hard night to be an Ole Miss Rebel. To the tune of he kicked that field goal so they could score some points in the second half. I mean, they scored on 2 of their first 3 drives, and then if he doesn't kick that field goal, they don't score the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I know. I'm starting to get the picture here that first, the other opposing team's first drives typically result in points. But after that, you see Schumann dialing up the adjustments, and the rest is what it is.
Even that first drive, though, I mean, if you make a couple tackles, you have them 3rd and 13 at one point. I mean, it was definitely a very stoppable team, even the first drive.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's just unfortunate that didn't work. But, I think that, like anything, you can't panic if we give up a touchdown the first drive. It's kind of this defense's MO. But the information that Coach Smart and Coach Schumann learn off that drive seems to have effects down the road of, okay, well, look at Missouri, the deep bomb to Burden. I mean, man barely catches another pass the rest of the day. Just those adjustments are just made so quickly and so well that they counteract that quick score or that first score by really limiting. I mean, look at it. They barely threw for 150 yards. That's wild to think about.
Yeah, because I think you have, so passing-wise, you had Jackson Dart 10 for 17, 112 before going out, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then Spencer Sanders 4 for 7 for 61 yards. So, I mean, you didn't crack 175. So, for what it's worth, right, especially with how potent we knew their offense was, I'll take that for what it's worth. Now, Quinshon Judkins, listen, you did give up over 100 yards, but it's combined, right? Both touchdowns to Quinshon as well. That first drive, man, it was interesting to see the competitive nature of this, right? I don't know if you saw it. Were you there? You were there, right? So you probably saw Kirby and Lane going back at it when they got called for holding, and then they scored the next play after. I don't know if you noticed that, but from the TV, if you look close enough, you could see it, and I thought it was hilarious. But I kind of like that, right? Like big time matchup, just kind of the stuff you like to see. You know what I mean? So I thought that was very interesting. We talked about this earlier as well, that Jackson Dart likes to run the ball, We had to, defensively had to contain him and be able to set the edge. And just point here, CJ Allen and Kamari were unreal. And with that, I wholeheartedly agree. For a first start, you could have asked for a little bit better, but I think it was a pretty damn good performance for CJ Allen.
Yeah, I don't know as a true freshman first start against a top 10 opponent. I would even have to disagree with you there. I just don't know.
No, well, I think you can always be like, cause even when he got beat, right? Like there was a couple plays that he got beat, but it wasn't like it was just completely just blown play. He was actually like where he needed to be. It was just, excellent play,
Yeah.
So I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying like, a perfectionist would probably be like, oh, he could have stopped this or something, But other than that, like you said though, first start, led the team, led the game in tackles, and he moves so effortlessly. Like he covers so much ground, it doesn't even look like he's like hustling. And to me, that's the scary part.
He is already showing that he's one of your next elite linebackers, not just good Georgia linebackers, but elite. So, that's always fun to watch because, JDJ and Smile have both flashed that level of eliteness, but this year I think they've both left a little bit to be desired. But, not saying that neither of them can't play in an elite level. I'm just not sure that either of them have the raw potential that CJ Allen showed on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was early and often too. He was making plays. I thought that was very interesting. And even right, like there was that play where I think it was Quinshawn, or no, I think 11 out of the backfield got him right. It was a design play to basically put him out on a right, hunt him basically. The fact that he comes out literally the next play and shows the patience to set the edge and then make the tackle. I thought that was what you wanted to see if you're Georgia. And I mean, really, basically the whole country got to see him grow. And if you're Georgia, I think the future is bright. And without question. I thought Raylan Wilson did all right too, for what it's worth too. I know there was a flood concept on his side on that first drive where the tight end slipped behind him. But at the same time, I think with that play, that's just one where in time, I think, if he's playing more, he fixes that.
That's one that Lane is doing just to be Lane.
Yeah.
Successful, and he also knows that we have historically had trouble with the wheel route. So, here comes the tight end wheel route. It killed us against Florida in 2020.
100%.
It was something that was very successful the last time we lost a regular season game.
Yeah, no doubt. We talk about all the stats we want, but I do think for the last game this season in Sanford Stadium, I thought the electric atmosphere was just game-changing. I really did. And it wasn't like it died out either, That's what for what it's worth, I love the fact that it stayed consistent.
My thing is, and this is to everybody that kind of talks about the fan base, the fan base is a lot like your football team at this point. If the fan base stays and is loud and is consistent, it means that your team was worth the effort.
Yeah.
If the fan base dies out after halftime, it means we think your goose is cooked and we will be seeing you on the flip side.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think that was and then, a lot of people said, oh, we weren't that loud at Missouri. There were times that we as a team didn't play great at Missouri. There just isn't always going to be a loud crowd if you're not playing. Not, I won't say well, but just, taking advantage of opportunities. There were some times that we kind of, sizzled out against Missouri where if you'd have scored that one more touchdown or had that one more stop, you'd have kind of blown the lid off the place. Missouri kind of kept taking the air out of the air out of it, which kudos to them. They did a good job. I mean, that score to make it a 6-point game, you could kind of tell everybody was like, ooh, sure would be nice right now if we hadn't kicked one of those field goals. I mean,
no doubt.
In the stadium, they know that 6-point lead is time to kind of pay attention and be sweating a little bit.
Yep. Keon, what were your takeaways from Saturday, man? Them dogs is hell. I'll answer. I'm just messing.
No, but seriously though, real strong game plan. We watched some players overcompensate for the, I would say, added adversity that they went through on defense. But I felt like our offense was humming. I mean, everybody and their mama scored. Yeah, shout outs to Andrew Paul. And happy birthday, Andrew Paul.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought that was interesting, though, man. Just watching that, how efficient, this offense was, biggest game for us this season, for us to look like that. Now, albeit, right, they're not world beaters. At the same time, though, they were 7th in the FBS in sacks, and Carson Beck never got touched until the post-game handshakes. So,
Yeah,
I just want to let that be known, too. So, welcome back. Hold on. First off, welcome back, Amari Smims, but welcome back, Brock Bowers. My word.
man.
My word. Just going to leave.
Just unbelievable, especially like you're saying with the welcome back of Marius Mims. They had the same surgery, this exact same ankle surgery. And we're just now welcoming back Marius Mims. And here we are talking less than 25 days. Welcome back, Brock Bowers. And, of course, the first ball he catches all night, he has to leap up in the air and spin mid-air and land back on that ankle. I mean, talk about a hold-your-breath moment. Like, okay, we're about to see how healthy he really is right here. And, Kirby said something today that they don't know if he's 100%, but they're not going to stop him until he just can't go. So,
Yeah, no doubt.
I think scary to think that he's not 100%. I mean,
sorry, I saw Tanil commenting up earlier saying that was a good old-fashioned ass whipping, and she said good evening to Go Dogs. Go Dogs, Tanil. Jeff kind of alludes to Carson Beck here. Carson Beck was doing it. And so Jeff mentioned that even Beck's pick was a perfect pass. You couldn't have put that in a better spot. You, as a receiver, have to come down with that. You have to catch that.
Man.
Talk about a nail in that coffin if you complete that pass.
If you complete that and go and get points before halftime.
Brock Bowers, Lad McConkey, Carson Beck.
Hold on. Even
and the kicker.
And the kicker.
And Woodring. Holy.
These white men are dangerous. No one is to go near them.
Man, it's gonna be a weekly thing, ain't it?
Sounds like it.
Mad about it. I ain't even mad about it.
But to be fair, this week, Dejon Edwards, Kendall Milton, and Andrew Paul. I mean, 5 touchdowns between 3 running backs this week.
Man, that was, you know what though? I do think that was the career game that Kendall Milton had. That we wish, yeah. Like senior night, by the way, you saw those guys play with emotion because you had Jordan Davis, you had Nolan Smith down there, hyping guys up. Like, tell me that, like, it's just awesome to see that type of brotherhood, man. It really is.
It really is. To see everybody back, to see our roster healthy, and to watch us ball out the way we did.
Well, this offense, this game right here just proves that this offense is one of the most lethal offenses in the country. And one thing also to add to it is we have one of the best defenses to bolster it, which leads me to believe that Georgia's the best team in the country. There's no question after this game.
I agree. I think they will be singing a very similar tune tomorrow evening.
I mean, you literally you took the 9th ranked team in the country, and they're based off of their CFP rankings, the 9th best team. And you bent them over Ice Cube style.
not only that, but it's just the back-to-back weeks. You took the team that was number 12, beat them by 2 scores, turned around and beat the team that was number 9, beat them by 5 scores at least. And then the number 12 team from last week falls to 14, takes the new number 12 team and bends them over. I mean, they beat Tennessee by 30.
Oh, thanks, Tennessee, by the way, for clinching the East for us before the game even started. So that the
like
game
I'm saying, all of a sudden, I think there's an argument to be made Missouri may be the second best team in the SEC.
Oh, I think there is. I mean, well, we're talking about in the whole conference or just
in the whole conference?
Maybe.
In the whole conference.
I do think Alabama's playing some really good ball. Speaking of, December 2nd, folks, 4:00 in the Benz.
See you there.
Ending the divisions, the SEC division era the right way. Georgia, Bama in the SEC title game. How fitting is that?
I'm excited because, like you're saying, at some point I knew that if you didn't go through them for the three-peat, for years people would talk about that, oh, well, you won 2 of those 3 without having to go through the king. It's like, bring on the king.
Let me ask y'all this question. How do you think that game plays out?
Well, that's a little bit too early, considering we have our show for that, however, comma. Way too early makes me believe that I think you forced Jalen Milroe to pass the ball into the strap mob. And so long as Dalen Everett has some help, I think you're more than golden. Because 2 weeks from Saturday, you'll be playing in the Benz. So
I think as long as you control Milroe's feet and his ability to extend plays, you'll be okay. I think if you allow him to scramble and run and pick up first downs and cheap first downs and extend plays and let coverage break down in the back, it could be a long game because that's given us trouble in the past. But I think if you limit that from him and make him beat you straight up by making a read and throwing the ball into coverage, I think that he's going to slip up a time or two. I think he has slipped up a time or two, playing Tennessee, playing Kentucky, playing some of these games. He's already shown you that, he's no Superman, but he's very fast, he's very elusive, and he's not scared to run. I mean, if he feels the pressure and you're in poor rush lanes, he is going to run, he is going to hurt you.
It kind of leads me back to the Ole Miss game. I feel like for the most part, Georgia did a really good job playing sound rush, right? You rush to them rather than up past them. And I think that really contained Dart into the pocket, right? Yes, there were a couple plays where he was able to make some plays, right? I think first drive it was Jalen Walker bounces inside and, Dart moves to the outside, right? I do think that was probably a calculated thing by Jalen Walker. I don't see Jalen Walker really getting out of place that much like that. So maybe I think he's probably had the go ahead there. I mean, I don't know, but either way, like there were some runs, right? But at the same time, how do you combat a physical running quarterback physicality? And I'm not sitting here saying, I'm never going to wish anybody injury, so hopefully he's all right. But when you have a quarterback that runs and is not scared of contact, you have to be physical. You have to hit him like a skill position player. And boy, oh boy, it happened. It happened. Obviously, that's why Spencer Sanders comes in. Just, a super physical hit, right? Clean hit, too. For what it's worth, clean hit, too. So, it wasn't nothing dirty. Just super fucking physical hit. And it was just a beautiful hit. But, I think it takes these quarterbacks hits like that to really put it into perspective to, hey, just slide. Because Carson Beck, Carson Beck sees grass, runs. Guess what? Every single time, slide. It saves you, man. It saves you. What's going on, Chase? Chase in the building here. Keon, over that, though, I do want to get your thoughts on the run game. I want to get back to the run game and the offensive line and how they just bullied their way through this. Kobe, you mentioned 5 touchdowns on the ground. Man, is that the best running performance we've had this season?
I mean, it may be the best running performance I can remember in the past few seasons. And it's one of the cleanest. I mean, talk about having great games. Maybe he threw for like 306 or 308.
It was 306. It was 306.
And then you run for 300 or 305, whatever it is. I mean, you basically dead split 300 through the air and on the ground to put up 600 yards on these guys.
Well,
it's just unbelievable to think about when you like sit here and thinking in today's world of football that you played a top 10 team and ran the ball for 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. And then, we also threw the ball for 300 yards and a pair.
That's
what nightmares are made out of as a defensive coordinator.
Well, because it just shows you the balance. And, balanced offense is, I think, more deadly than a super high, super dynamic pass game or run game, You can, I don't know, I feel like you can knock it out and be right. But when you have to worry about running, you have to worry about, the pass game. And listen, the people that thought that Brock Bowers was the only reason why Georgia won the way they did, I don't think they paid attention at all. Because he only had like 3 receptions. He had a touchdown, though. But the ground game is where you just absolutely dominated. And I do want to get y'all's thoughts on this. We typically do our report cards. I genuinely, at least in my opinion, but I want to see if y'all, see how y'all feel about this. I think this was an A+ game almost all around.
Honestly.
I mean, I think you could nitpick some things like here or there, but I think overall, anytime you score 52 and only give up 17 in the way we gave up 17, I would like to hear it, who has their complaints. I mean, maybe say Dalen Everett, but I guess it's still at some point.
Even then, though,
even at some point, we didn't even give up 170 yards through the air.
Yeah, I'll tell you this:
a couple catches. That's life as a DB.
Well, think about it this way:
right.
Kamari Lassiter. God, this is insane. By the way, Kamari Lassiter has strapped down Luther Burden. He strapped down Trey Harris. Like it's insane. Like they're not getting anything on them, hardly anything. Like if this isn't worthy of some high second round, even first round talk,
I don't know what it is.
The shit he's doing. He's making money every week. Every week. But even then, so we talk about Kamari. Right? Think about this. You look at Bullard. Right. Yep. One of the things like Bullard showing his ball hawk abilities made me feel like it was Ed Reed back there.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be specific here. There was a play. I don't know if you remember this, guys. This is a little bit of NFL history here, but Peyton Manning for the Colts, right? Ed Reed runs one way and then baits Peyton to throw the deep ball and then just picks it off. It kind of had that similar feel to it. I know it wasn't identical, so please don't take me the wrong way there. But you played that about as perfect as you can imagine. And it literally sealed the momentum for the first half. It punctuated this first half for me.
I definitely agree. I mean, when you think back pick that he had in the second quarter, I believe it was, I'd like to say it was 113 left from their own 20-yard line.
Yeah.
That deep shot where you see that Everett kind of gets baited on that double move, and in comes Javon Bullard out of nowhere. Like, you literally see him appear on the screen like, oh, wow.
You know, going back to that play though, too. All right, initially, I watch Everett jump in right to bounce to the slant, and I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Because as soon as he did, you see the receiver stay out, and I was like, uh-oh. But then the TV angle, all you see is out of nowhere Bullard coming up, and I'm like, oh, he's going to high point it. Like, as soon as you see him, like, hitting that right angle, and he's watching the ball, I was like, he's going to high point this. And then,
100%.
boom, in real time. Now, at the same time, listen, I'm not going to bash Everett on that play. And the reason why I say that is this. If you know you have safety help, you can do that. And you know what I mean?
If anything, I'm going to defend him because one of his biggest weaknesses that he's put on film versus Vanderbilt and other people is giving up the quick slant right now. And then a little bit of question mark on his ability to also tackle that quick slant. So, like you're saying, it would have been no surprise to me to have attacked him in the slant game a little bit harder, especially when you're trying to get the clock moving and the ball moving. There wasn't anything that said, oh, Lane Kiffin has to take the shot right now. I mean, he could have taken a couple quick slants and all of a sudden been in field goal range.
I was surprised, though, that, like, the first couple of drives, they were, you know, they tried to take shots, never connected. Like, a lot of them didn't really connect. Why did it in the second half? It didn't feel like they even tried to go hit your explosives. Like, nothing was clicking for them offensively. It was just weird. It's like I guess it's because you're so used to Lane Kiffin that it just.
I think the DBs had a lot on clamps, and we were getting home. I mean, we were making Jackson Dart have to move and make decisions quicker,
hold the ball,
you know,
just in the place. Yeah. Were there any other things, guys, that y'all saw in this game that's noteworthy?
I think the offensive line really stepped up into a whole nother frame. I mean, you see guys getting to their blocks immediately. You see, you literally see Ratledge turn a guy sideways and say, hey, Kendall Milton, go through the open door I got for you. I'll hold it.
And I like to see, and I know that, you know, we're in some different messages where people have their feelings about the offensive line. You know, I like to see Mims was back, but I like to see that there's still kind of that thing that started under Matt Luke that's kind of followed into Stacey Searles with Kirby and these great offensive lines. We're rotating. It ain't just a 5-man brick wall. It's a 7-man rotation to an 8-man rotation. I mean, Mims played some right tackle. Truss played some right tackle. Ernest Green played some left tackle. Truss played some left tackle. You know, Dylan Fairchild played some left guard. Michael Morse played some left guard. Like, we were kind of just flowing, and it didn't.
At one point, Jared Wilson was playing right guard too, I thought.
Maybe late in the game.
Yeah,
but
maybe that's what
for that little bit of rotation. I mean, it didn't matter what 5 was in. I mean, Truss looked great at left tackle for a while, and then here comes Ernest Green, and he's looking great.
Here's your padlock stat for this offensive line. You allowed Georgia to operate at a 10.2 yards per play average.
Wow.
You ran 60 plays and you hit 606 yards offense or something like that.
Yeah.
That is efficiency if I've ever seen it.
Like I said, I mean, you literally didn't have a third down until like the very end of the first half, I believe. You didn't have a single play that you snapped all game happen for a negative loss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's another padlock stat, man. Not a single negative yardage play in this game.
Well, also on top of that, you also got to keep in mind, I mean, they're one of the top teams when it comes to tackles and sacks. And outside of Carson Beck falling on the ground by himself, he never got touched.
He did, yeah.
Like you're saying, they're D coordinator, and they pride themselves in these exotic run blitzes, the D line slants and plays games and tries to get home, and they have sacked, they have, you know, bothered quarterbacks, they have forced errors, and, you know, gotten big tackles for loss and big moments. It's like, I don't know if they just gave up on that after it wasn't working for a while, or for some foolish reason try to play us heads up. But I mean, they didn't impact anything.
They really did. I mean, Carson Beck looked extremely comfortable the entire night. And again, like I said, he ran for 30 yards rushing on the ground. He didn't force anything, right? Like that's something I feel like if you're not a Georgia fan and you've somehow listened to this show, I hope you're paying attention to the fact that he is extremely calculated and careful with the ball. He will not put it into harm's way.
Yeah.
And, at first, we look back at the season at the start of it and you're like, dude, get the ball. Let's be aggressive. Now you're sitting there. You can see that he's comfortable doing whatever.
Right.
But if the defense gives him grass, he's going to take it. And that right there is just, it's forcing another wrinkle into this offense that other opposing defense has got to take into account for. And that just makes this offense even more deadly. But I do think with Carson Beck staying on here, he was pinpoint accurate all night.
Yes.
I think for me, the first nice reception to Rara,
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't have put that ball in a better spot. And the reason why I say that is that if from the first glance it looked behind him, but the placement forced him to come back, right? It let him, like the communication with the ball placement, forced him to come back, and it just made the DB just, and he's gone.
I would say my only mental note of any poor placed ball would be Ladd stutter and go. The little,
The under, you talking about the underthrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was more of it just being late. I don't think it was an underthrow. I think it was just late.
You also got
the development on that play was late. Looked like.
I just think that actually he really didn't step into that throw.
They still 50 yards in the air too.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, cool. I think he did a great job. Ladd McConkey most definitely stepped up.
There were a couple plays. There were a couple plays where he put the ball. So
like the interception, I'm perfectly fine with that. That's on the receiver. That's not on you. You hit him in the hands as he's jumping and as he's falling.
I thought that was
that ball.
Thought that was Lovett.
Okay,
I thought, yeah.
No,
there was no. What are y'all's thoughts on this? Though I think it was an interesting pass that he threw into the red zone, right to Ladd, behind the DB, but where Ladd was able to put his hands on it, just couldn't come down with it. Where he basically threw him to the ground, Beck threw the ball, led McConkey down to the ground, basically, but it went through his hands. Do y'all remember that play?
Yeah.
Still an excellent ball.
Oh, wait. No, where are you talking about where it hit his right arm as he was falling back? See, that's what I'm saying. His ball placement is crazy because he puts what some might consider a bad pass. I don't consider it a bad pass, but he's putting balls if you drop it, we're kind of looking at you.
You're not putting it into harm's way, though.
Well, it's like the fade he threw to Rara, where it's pretty blatant PI, and Rara still is trying to slide under the DB, and it hits him right in the arm. It's like that wasn't a fade, that wasn't a jump ball fade. That was an absolute seed to your back shoulder. Hey, why don't you go catch it?
Yeah. Speaking of catches, man, I've got to give Ole Miss some credit here. I don't know that receiver's name, but that catch over Everett. Listen, I'm not mad at Everett on this one at all. There was no playing that any better.
Yeah, if you do anything more on that play, it's a pass interference. Literally, anything more on that play, it's a pass interference.
Okay. Everett played that as perfect as possible. It's just that dude made the extraordinary catch. So I have to give that man credit.
It's been itching for me to say. My man Jeff with the comment. Biggest joke of the weekend. James Franklin going 0 for 2 on his season once again because they only play 2 real teams a year. Or Michigan's interim coach crying after their win against Penn State. One of the
No.
two.
I'm going the interim coach, and the reason why I say that is because it's almost a standard at this point for James Franklin to lose to those two teams.
No, I understand why the coach was. I understand why
I
the
don't
coach
give
was
a
crying.
damn. That's an ugly cry, dude. Like, come on.
No, no.
It was an ugly cry, but I'm
No.
gonna have to say biggest joke is still James Franklin.
Definitely James Franklin.
Manny Diaz is coaching his nuts off up there. Playing.
They fired the OC. They fired the OC after this
He
game.
had to.
I'm just
I
saying,
don't think
had
it
to.
matters. I don't think it matters.
watched them play. They have a legitimate top 10 defense, and you just can't score. Like you as Penn State, you might as well be Iowa. You can't score.
No, I know exactly what that's like. Might as well be the Giants.
Got some influx here. Star Wars dog. Hey y'all, what's going on, Star Wars? And Walla is in the building. The groupie should change his name to groupie. We know.
What
Keon.
up, Walla?
What up, Walla?
But yeah, so are there any things that Georgia can take away to grow on this game, though? I mean,
100%.
I mean, in regards to like, what can Georgia do better at? Like, I feel like people overlook this game as being like I said, an A+ game. But Kobe, you brought about the nitpicking, right?
I think nitpicking Kirby will too, because you're not going to have games go as well for you as this game went. I mean, you're not going to play defenses that allow for 10 points per or 10 yards per play. And that just isn't realistic at some point. So,
yeah, no, I think you're right. I think for what it's worth, I think there's still some things to coach up. But again, on defense, like you had Jamal Jarrett back in there in the fourth quarter coming off of his injury too, which I was so happy to see that too. Wrecking shit a little bit, getting a nice little tackle there. Speaking of Christian Miller and Jordan Hall, right? This youth, man, I'm super excited for. Super excited for next year, man.
Me too.
Speaking of, all right, so Jeff says, how did we do on the over-under? So let's bring this back up. Let's do this. So, Kobe, you were not, I don't think you did the over-unders. It was just me and Keon. So here's our record for this week. And I think it's pretty good. Keon, I got your ass. Got you at a 5-2 to 4-3. Ole Miss, what, right? So here's the criteria for the over-unders. Ole Miss, 1.5 sacks. They did not even touch Carson Beck. So obviously the under there. Georgia, 2.5 sacks. Georgia ended up 2. Might I add back-to-back. Jackson Dart, 16 rushing yards. Surprisingly close, 20. Carson Beck, 2.5 passing touchdowns. Finished with 2. Obviously, when you've got five rushing touchdowns, 2 TDs is fine with me. Peyton Woodring, 2.5 field goals, only saw once. Keon, we called this out. Love seeing that the fact that Peyton only got 1 field goal.
Right.
Jackson Dart, in fact, threw that pick. Javon Buller, shout out there. And Brock Bowers definitely got more than a half a reception. He got 3 with a tutty. So 5-2 and 4-3 are your over-under results. Thought that was a good week. I know there was a lot of stuff we called out, man, Thursday that came true. I'm gonna continue on this subject though. For what it's worth, we talked about Ole Miss being a 4-down team. I thought Georgia did okay there. I feel like they can get better, but at the same time, 4th and shorts are very hard to stop, if you will. So I think Georgia did all right for what it's worth there, but I would like to see, right, kind of just want to see us make some red zone stops too. I think if you get within the 10, you're basically scoring on Georgia. And that's got to change, especially when you get into the meat and potatoes like the SEC championship game, right? Maybe the playoffs, right? Well, I mean, what are y'all's thoughts there? I mean, what can be changed to get this red zone defense squared away?
I think the big thing that's tough about it is just right now from your defensive line, you just really aren't getting that like sudden havoc play where, maybe you're not doing your job. I think of Tyler Clark for some reason always comes to my mind of like, you may not be protecting the B gap like you're supposed to. You actually just swam that guard and beat him into the A gap, but you just tackled the running back for a 4-yard tackle for loss. So we're good. Like, I'm good, you're good, Smart's good. We just don't have that anymore. Like, and that's the hard thing is like, maybe Zion Logue is just holding his blocker in the A gap just like he's coached to do, exactly how he's taught. But they're still getting a gain of 3 because by the time he, sheds the block, makes the tackle, they're running at him, he falls backwards, whatever. We're not having that sudden boom. Okay, Ole Miss just went from the 10 to the 15, and then, which we did have that happen one time with a penalty, but, plays like that, big havoc plays, an interception, a forced fumble, things like that really keep teams out of the end zone more than just like straight up defense does inside the 10.
No doubt. I think another thing too with the game, you talked about the penalties. For what it's worth, there wasn't a ton of procedural penalties on Ole Miss. I know the first play, you have the false start, which was a place that's got rocking at that point. But for what it's worth, I mean, outside of holds and stuff, it was a clean, for what it's worth, clean game.
Brother, they were letting them play.
They were definitely
clean about it. They were letting them play. It was one of the dirtiest DB games I've ever seen in my life, and they were letting them play.
They were just letting them play through it.
This is what happened. This is what happened when you bait.
You got Dominic Lovett cutting across the back end zone, and you have a DB that's literally holding him from one side to the other, trying to turn him as he's running and jumping.
I mean, I got my man Brock Bowers with the one on the other side of his chest, trying to make that one-handed catch. And the referee's watching it. Incomplete. I'm like, my man's already playing on one ankle. He can't also be expected to catch with one hand.
Tis but a flesh wound. Oh man, I love baiting y'all into that. That was fun. Yeah, the officiating was shit.
No, see, I disagree there now because it was both ways.
It was consistent.
100%.
Well, hold on.
Ways. I got no problem.
Both of these can be true.
Fucking play.
Both of these can be true.
We also get to play.
Both of these can be true because it was shit, but it was consistent.
I will take consistent over good any day because that means we get to play that same thing. Because there were we had a couple grabs. We had a little something here.
I thought the end zone too. I forgot who it was thrown to, but I thought there was one that could have been questionable. What about Julian? What about Humphreys? A PI down there at the red zone too.
That was a PI.
At
least from where I was sitting, it was bad. It was a good PI on his part because it was a touchdown if he doesn't grab him. But
it also looked like he lost his balance for what it's worth. Because I don't know, just watching from the TV tape, it looked like he fell and he held on to him, and then he kind of caught his balance and he tried to jump out for the ball. But I think another thing that Jackson Dart, man, we haven't seen Ole Miss in what feels like forever.
Yeah.
Now that we've seen them, where they're what did you think about them? I felt like did you feel like they were overrated, or it was just Georgia just played a damn good game?
No, we just played a damn good game. Like, honestly, I really believe that we just came in there and dominated on all phases of the football. Also, shout outs to Makai. No fumbles. Appreciate it.
And he had a couple good returns.
Sure did. Got one call back that had nothing to do with him, but
rough call there too, because I'm not sure if I agreed with it, but
yeah,
each their own. I think it just still shows, and I was talking about this at work today, is that some low-level parity in college football has increased. So some of your lesser schools, some schools that are kind of on the cusp, I think they really are getting better players through NIL and the portal. But just like years past, sooner or later, the cream kind of rises to the top. And it are those teams that are built predominantly from within that have that culture. I mean, look at this Bama team. This is a team that we were all saying is going to lose 3 games this year. And by some miracle, so far, they've only lost 1 game to a really good Texas team. It just continues to show you that in a big game against Ole Miss, against LSU, against Tennessee, they still have what it takes to win games, no different than Georgia. In a big game, you do not want to be playing us. Ole Miss is great against LSU, and we've talked about it. We sat here, I said it the week after Alabama, we were picking the Ole Miss LSU game, and I said, for some reason, this feels like the week that Lane Kiffin goes out there and calls a masterpiece and scores 55 for no reason other than the fact he scored 10 at Alabama. And he did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, score 55 against Alabama. Like, I just guess that's my thing for Ole Miss. They're really, really good, but they just don't have it. It's not sustainable against better teams. I'll say that.
Ooh, that's a good question. We'll have to answer this real fast. More overrated, Jimbo Fisher or Lincoln Riley? I'm going Lincoln on this.
I'm going Jimbo. I'm going Jimbo, and I don't think it's close.
I'll tell you why. The reason why I said Jimbo or Lincoln over Jimbo is because Jimbo actually has something to show for it.
No, he doesn't.
See, that's exactly why I think he's more overrated. He falls in that same category to me as like Mac Brown. Like, you had a generational quarterback lead you to a natty, and now he's a national championship winning coach. No, he's not. Like, he won that one with Florida State and Jameis, but he is not to the level of even like Dabo Swinney.
I think they're still about equal though, and to some degree though.
No. Let me tell you why they're not. Because you can even look at Lincoln Riley. I mean, he was able to not only win his conference multiple times, he's pushed out. I mean, how many quarterbacks has he dealt with at this point? You started out with Caleb, or not even Caleb Williams. You started out with Spencer Rattler. You were wrecking shop over there in the Big 12. You threw him to the side, got Caleb Williams, ran it up in the Big 12, left the Big 12, went to the Pac-12, and all the way up until people found out that your defense was really non-existent, you were still running it up over there.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, and I think it'll be something, give it a couple more years still with Lincoln, and I think they could be more even in my eyes. I'll be interested to see Lincoln's willingness to change now that Alex Grinch is gone. Who are you going to hire, and how much are you willing to tone down your offense for the greater good of the team versus your quarterbacks and your ego? Now, if you keep high rolling and, ignoring defense, then I think I'm with you. I think Lincoln Riley's as overrated as anybody to ever coach the game, because at some point he just pushes defense to the side, couldn't care less, really doesn't even care if you win, really just cares about scoring 50 and hoping, maybe we throw for 600 yards and 6 touchdowns today.
That's a good question, though, Jeff. Very good question. Guys, look, we've been going for a good bit of time. We ain't even brought up our first sponsor, man. None of our sponsors yet. Ain't that crazy? First things first, let's get into business, guys. Start your morning, every morning, with the best coffee in the business. It's quite literally the coffee of champions, Apotheos Roastery. Check it out. If you see this, scan the QR code or just go to dgdpodcast.com and go to sponsors. Shop Apotheos's blend right now. They've got the Holiday Java. Excellent stuff. Excellent. My preference, Classic City Collective Dark Roast, but also using our link, guys, 20% of every single bag, every single K-Cup that you get goes, 20% of that goes to the Classic City Collective. So you're supporting them dogs and you're drinking some championship quality coffee. So just going to leave that there. Thank you, Apotheos, for supporting the show. Guys, want to ask about this. Bobo haters need to bring that ass here.
All right, we really got to pull these people to the front of the pulpit. Let's get into it.
You need to come. You need to repent for your sins.
No, for real. Shit is crazy.
It's good. Listen, because after Saturday night, if there was any doubt, I think it all got washed away in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. And then he said, "How about some pancakes, bitch?" Just gonna leave that there. That's exactly what he told Pete Golden. Just gonna leave it there. For what that's worth, let me break this down. Yeah, he called probably the game of his offensive coordinating tenure.
100%.
And that's even before.
100%. 100%.
Of his life ever, he called the best game ever. You would have to show me a game that you would believe would be better.
No, for real.
I
think he really shit on everything he's done prior to this previous weekend. Like, y'all thought I was good? No, here's where Elite comes in, and boom.
Yeah,
take 6-15 something, cut that shit in half. I'll give you that on offense and defense. Go out here with a dub, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Oops, wide receiver should have caught the ball. Oh, every running back I got on roster. How about all of y'all get out here and score a touchdown?
The only game I can think of that's even close as a Georgia fan that I've ever seen him call was like 2013. I think it was 2012 or 2013 LSU. 49-46 or 40.
That was when LSU had Jarvis and Odell, and
Mm-hmm.
He was in his bagola that evening as well.
For what it's worth, I think overall efficiency though, last Saturday was better. I get your point though. There were a lot of good, like that was just a good game, but I think also the defense, like keep in mind, we talked about this when he was brought on as offensive coordinator. Bobo hasn't had a defense like this, right? He never had that kind of defense his first stint as offensive coordinator. Look at what shit's doing now with the defense, because now you're looking at it. Georgia's the only team in the top 10 in offense and defense, scoring offense and defense, excuse me, right? So you're sitting there, you're averaging over 40 points per game. Damn, truth be damned about your schedule. I don't give a damn. It's still going to be hard to go do that on every game and 10 games into the season. Just going to leave that there. But then at the same time, right, the defense has allowed him to take a little bit more calculated risk, right? But at the same time, you brought back 2013, Kobe. How fun was it to watch that toss sweep touchdown to Dejan? Had a little.
Give the man a year or two, and he's gonna have some walk on strapping it up at fullback. It's coming.
But the problem is, it wouldn't matter.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, as a nod to old, he's gonna have somebody in there just off the smelling salts, ready to rock.
I mean, if you listen to the show when we first start, Kirby said it best: "It's time to fucking go." I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, Kobe, you brought a good point, man. Whoever put other in the poll, let's hear those names that y'all are talking about. Also, Juju Lewis was in attendance. There's a lot of there's a lot of talent there as well recruiting. Kobe, you were there, so how did the rain impact any of the recruiting stuff that you saw?
It barely rained at all.
It looked different on the TV tapes then.
I mean, it was like a light mist. It never rained like people talk about it rained at Tennessee. It rained. I mean, it was flooding. I was soaking wet at Tennessee. There was a nice light mist.
Oh, I guess for me it looked different on the TV because it looked like it was coming down harder than that. But okay. But yeah, no, I thought that was interesting too because I know when Bowers caught that touchdown, did y'all see Raiola? Did you see Raiola in the?
Yeah.
Raiola jumped up and threw the touchdown up. I thought that was cool, man. That
But
dude's balled in. I love it.
but after, of course, this ass whipping we laid down this previous Saturday. I mean, you have Georgia currently sitting, just if we're looking at the conference, we're number 2 in total yards, number 2 in passing yards, number 5 in rushing yards, first in defense points allowed, first in yards allowed. I mean, we're showing you dominance from all phases of the game. I mean, of course,
Georgia ain't played nobody, Keon. Georgia ain't played nobody, won't play nobody.
I mean, but see, here's the real question though, because like we know what's waiting for us in the SEC championship game. Will that be a moment for everybody to say, okay, this is an opponent for Georgia to play?
I'll be honest with you, Keon. If you're telling me Georgia ain't played nobody, then you're ignorant as a fan in general. I mean, if you haven't watched the teams we've played and what they've done to other teams, and then versus what they've done against us, at some point between playing Missouri and Ole Miss, and then you're going to play Alabama, I mean, you're going to play three teams that are probably all within the top 15 at the end of the season.
Yeah, well, you still got to, I mean, keep in mind Saturday you got a Tennessee team that's probably going to be ranked now where, we'll see.
I'll tell you this too. Hypothetical. Penn State versus Missouri, Ole Miss, or Alabama, do they win any of those 3 games?
No. Show me that they cannot do anything.
No, not at all.
So then what, like you're saying, they're telling me Ohio State's good because they beat Penn State. They're telling me Michigan's good because they beat Penn State. They're telling me, Ohio State's good because they beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 4-loss team.
Wasn't Penn State Michigan's first ranked team that they played?
That was their first test. Yep.
Yeah.
10 games into the season, and that's your first test.
And it was 26-15.
I thought it was 24-15. I thought it was 24-15.
It may have been.
I think it was 24-15. Yeah, because it was a 9-point loss for Penn State. That's right.
The same as Missouri.
Speaking of, Penn State is awesome. Like, that stadium is wild.
Yeah, it is cool. But
it is.
Beyond the point.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Bama is playing as well as anyone right now. Bama would destroy Washington. Ooh, Jeff.
Well, so here's the thing. That's why even when it comes to the rankings, you could say that this team could beat this team, but you got a loss under your belt.
Keon, you brought up rankings, man. How about this? Let's introduce the DGD Podcast rankings for this week. Well, this is our prediction. This is predictions, okay? This is, keep in mind.
We may even debate these a little bit live here.
Kobe's going in blind with this. So here's what we've got, folks. We got 1 through 4. You've got Georgia at number 1, Ohio State at 2, Michigan 3rd, and Florida State rounding out the top 4. You got 5 through 10. You've got Washington, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Louisville, and Oregon State. Missouri moves up to 11, Oklahoma at 12, LSU 13, Ole Miss 14, Penn State 15, Utah 16, 17 is Tulane, 18 James Madison. I don't care. They deserve a fucking playoff. They deserve to be in the postseason. Just leave it there. 19 Arizona, Liberty at 20, UNC 21, Kansas State 22, Tennessee 23, Iowa 24, and surprise, surprise, Toledo at 25.
Just leave it up and we can talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say probably for me, and I don't know, I assume the 2 of y'all have talked. I think you would, in my personal opinion, you would flip Ole Miss LSU. Ole Miss has 1 less loss, and they beat them heads up. I think Utah may be a little high. I would like to see maybe like Utah in the 19-20 range, and maybe Arizona up there, flirting right there by that's 15-16 range. I think Arizona has played quite the year.
Well, they played was it Colorado to a last second, like a walk-off field goal.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about an Arizona team last year that like won one game.
Shout out Bill Norton, by the way.
Yeah. So, obviously the real rankings won't have James Madison, RIP. I think you guys should definitely get to play in the New Year's Six Bowl. I like that. Jeff, Oregon State beats Washington this weekend. Jeff, that would be the beginning of the end for the Pac-12.
Give us a reason to see Oregon in the playoffs, by the way.
No. If Washington loses before they play Oregon in the Pac-12 championship, the Pac-12 does not get in.
I think
that's taking Texas in.
I wouldn't put Texas in over Oregon. Oregon's playing some damn good ball. I think the problem is you got to look for. Well, think about this. So right now, as it stands, Georgia should be number one. I think will be number one tomorrow. Ohio State, and Michigan will still play. So there's one spot that should be or could be opening up for a team. Now, with that being said, it's looking, I think, almost more than likely right now that Washington and Oregon are about to play again in the Pac-12 title. So the winner of that could side up, right? If Washington falls, Oregon should go because they avenged their only loss, right? By the way, that loss was a literal, 2 points loss on the road?
3. It was 3.
3, sorry. So you lost by a field goal.
Yeah.
On the road. If you avenge that loss.
When you had the chance to kick 2 field goals.
Listen, Lanning could have learned from that. I'm going to give him the benefit of a doubt there. But I'm just saying, I think Florida State, Florida State played close to Miami, which I don't care about this rivalry shit. Miami is not good enough for you to play that close.
Bro, they played overtime and only led on the last play against Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm here to tell you they keep flirting with disaster.
Bro, I'm here to tell you
Washington too.
For Louisville.
Washington
too. Seriously.
You
seriously,
wrap it up in the ACC championship game.
Because I'm gonna tell you this: if they lose, they have to win. I'm sorry,
100%.
They have to win.
The ACC is definitely sweating the most right now because
if Florida State, what they have nobody, and then they got Florida.
So here's the thing: can you pull that the market?
We're also visual.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, so if y'all look at it like this, right? Florida State, they can't afford to keep flirting with disaster. They keep doing it. Washington, they keep flirting with disaster. They can't do it. If Washington loses before the Pac-12 championship, it doesn't matter if Oregon beats them or not, because you still have that loss. Yeah, you may have avenged it, but that's not going to be enough to get you back in that space, because then people are going to say, oh, well, Washington isn't the team we thought they were.
I feel like, though, you could say the same thing for Texas, though, because,
No. Texas, I don't think Texas. Texas has to win all the way through, win the Big 12. I honestly think the only way that Texas gets in, yet again, if you put – we are so visual. All right, so – because think about it. Think about it. Let's say Washington gets a loss before the Pac-12 championship, and then Oregon wins, they could potentially be left out, because that does them having a loss already prior coming into that game is going to diminish the win. It is.
And that would be my question too. Walla Walla just brought it up. It's a great thing, and you can just leave the graphic up so we don't all get confused. Do you value the eye test and how you're playing now versus the resume and who you've beaten and or lost to, or is it a combination thereof for you?
For me personally, or
for you personally and Robert personally.
So for me, I will say it's a combination of the eye test and strength of schedule. I'm looking at yet again, Michigan, your only real test so far was Penn State, and Penn State couldn't do shit. Let's keep it honest.
They couldn't even get down on their knees to pray. All right.
No, they really couldn't. And you have Florida State, who should have blown out Miami. I mean, if it wasn't for Emory getting injured on the last drive and forcing them to bring TVD back in, you don't win that. Like Florida State, you don't win that game. But, hope in one hand, you know what to do with the other. But you have Washington here. They just keep flirting with disaster too much for me. Oregon just keeps winning out. They're still pissed about losing to Washington. I think they know they should have won that game. But, rough lesson for Dan Lanning. I think the only way Texas gets in is if Washington loses and Florida State loses and we win it.
Well, Florida State doesn't have a quality opponent left on their schedule until Louisville, whereas right now Oregon would play Oregon State to end the regular season and then go right back around and play Washington. So from an eye test perspective, right? From an eye test perspective and the strength of schedule, Oregon or Washington should be in over that.
I'll tell you this right now. Here's, like you're saying, if the season ended with Oregon beating Washington and Florida State beating Louisville, and then you have one of the two teams in the Big Ten win, I think it's going to be Dogs 1, Big Ten winner 2. I think if Oregon avenges the undefeated loss to Washington, I think Ducks get in at 3. I think I'm with you. I think Florida State has flirted with disaster way too often. I think they punish them for it. They get to play the Kings. The Ducks get a chance with Michigan or Ohio State, and then it kind of goes from there. I think it all hell breaks loose if somehow a couple of those teams.
It happened last season. I will say this though too. Let's kind of wrap this portion of it up before we get to your team is trash. I want to go back to the Georgia game, and I want to give a shout out to that senior class. And the reason I say that is because that senior class has never lost a game at home. Think about that.
Shout outs to them.
That is crazy to think about that.
That's a whole nother level of like
dominance.
Well, not just that, but like you think about the guys that are coming up, and it's like, man.
Well, you can really, to be fair, besides my senior class, you can go back and, there have been some crazy ones. Last year's senior class only lost one game at home, and it was 2019 South Carolina. So,
yeah.
The senior class before them only lost one, and it was also 2019 South Carolina. Like, my senior class is the only class that is the last Kirby Smart class, which we were also his first. We lost the 3 as freshmen, and we didn't lose a single one as sophomores or juniors. Then we lost the one our senior year to South Carolina. That's it. It's all 4.
It's still just crazy because you like I said, I just pulled that stat up. Georgia's won 27 straight, which I think that means we just passed Nick Saban's record for consecutive.
Yeah, I think if you finish the season undefeated, you're alone at the top.
Because I think if we win this week, then you
tie USC.
Well, I was talking about Brian as well. There was some.
I think USC's
maybe I was thinking
8 in a row.
Okay, maybe.
Maybe USC. I'm talking about weeks. Maybe I'm talking about weeks consecutively at AP number 1.
I was talking about winning streak. I was talking about pure winning streak. Yeah, because if we win this week, you tie with Bryant. So, but no, I just think that and if Georgia handles that, then it'll be. I don't see that. I don't see us losing to Georgia Tech. I'm not saying they're not a good team. They're better than what they were, but by the way, that's a night game. How do you feel about that? Last one I remember night game was Todd Gurley.
Perfect chance to break out the black unis.
Do they do it?
Absolutely not.
Not. But it would be an unbelievable time to bust them out.
I'm just saying, if they did that, dude, I don't think you understand First off,
tickets would be $150 a ticket. Georgia Tech would love it.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, they'll be making some money for the debate team for sure.
It would all be. I mean, I don't care who I'm giving the money to.
Right.
We run the state, man. Simple as that. All right. Any final thoughts on this, Georgia? Any final thoughts on the Georgia, perspective before we move to our Your Team is Trash segment?
No, and this could maybe Your Team is Trash. This is kind of like a good intro to Your State is Trash. Shout out Missouri for winning the Tennessee state title because they beat all 4 Division I football teams in the state of Tennessee in the same year.
Oh, God.
That's just so funny.
Oh, God. Tyree says looking forward to Alabama, Georgia in the SEC championship game. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Going to be a good one. Oh, so here you go. So we're about to that record. It'll be next season to surpass Miami's record. They've got 34.
And then I'll ask that, Walla, is that regular season or is that just in a row?
I think that'll be interesting. Before we get to Your Team is Trash, guys, let's bring up the second sponsor and final sponsor of the night, and that is Alumni Hall. Guys, get geared up with, get all your stuff, man. Polos, right, for work, hoodies because it's getting cold, all your game day stuff. Check out Alumni Hall, right? Scan the QR code or go to dgdpodcast.com, go to sponsors, click your Alumni Hall and shop there. Selection, guys, licensed Nike, Cutter and Buck, Peter Millar, Johnny O, you name it, they got it, right? Give them a follow at Alumni Hall UGA on Twitter, Instagram /X and Instagram. Also, I thought it was interesting. Recruits are there, by the way. Recruits visited there. Shout out Brody Keefe for letting me know that he went to Alumni Hall. I was like, oh, word. Say less. So shout out there.
100%.
Now, with that being said, there are some candidates for Your Team is Trash. If you don't know what Your Team is Trash is, if this is your first time by chance listening or watching, Keon, tell people what this segment is.
I mean, it's a segment that I created for y'all just to let y'all know what we think about you. For some of y'all that thought that your teams were going to be better than what they are, I'm sorry, you're wrong. And really just letting people know the truth, the God honest truth, the stone cold truth, nothing but the truth. You got to hear this. Your team is trash, and wait for it. And you have to deal with that. You have to deal with it. There's no way around it. There's no way around it, under it, or over it.
There you go. So I did see some couple questions, and then we'll get started on this. Tyree does bring up a good question. Who's an underrated player that you want to break out for Georgia this year?
I'll go last on this one.
Season's getting a little late. Sun's getting a little low on the season there, old Tyree, but I would say that I think we're all still very excited about our young pass rushers. I think as the season's gone, we've got to see them a little bit more. Damon Wilson, especially, even Jalen Walker a little bit. So I think that our outside linebacker defensive end play, I would love for someone to have a little bit of a breakout year. I think we all are excited for old 13 to kind of get back to what he was doing towards the end of last year.
Well, 13 also has been playing like really good. It's just he's not gotten the how can I explain this? Not gotten into the backfield like we want. But the thing about it is setting the edge and stuff like that. He's resetting the line of scrimmage, and he did it against Ole Miss. I also think if I had to choose though, I do think if I had to answer that, I kind of want to see Anthony Evans. Like I'd love to see Anthony Evans get some run like that. Don't necessarily see that happening, but considering the fact that we've had as much, offensive success with Ladd and Brock and running game and all that stuff, But yeah, just gonna leave that there.
For me, I would actually have to say Raylan Wilson.
It's good. It's a good choice.
He's one of my favorite young linebackers out of the group. Buddy is just. I'm telling you, this dude can run a million miles per second. He's insane. But I'm looking forward to seeing him as he develops throughout this the back half of this season. Because we know it's not over after we play Georgia Tech. I think we all know that.
No, it's just beginning if you really look at it that way. All right, can we agree on this? For your team is trash, this might have to be the new hashtag, your tit.
Yeah,
I'm on board with that. I'm on board with that.
Yep, let's go.
So if you ever want to trash somebody, guys, just use that, and that way we know that the OG is talking right now. That's as simple as that. Keon,
that's all it is.
Keon, hold on. Let's let the chat decide who goes first on your tip tonight.
Yeah.
Because listen, there's a fair point. Mitch in here wilding out.
Pause.
Right.
Is it a pause moment? I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, there's a ton of teams that have the privilege of being about to be on this. I'm just gonna leave that there.
No, for real, because there's a lot of y'all that we could just run off.
No, I don't know. While it's mainly a team, we can be person, I guess, whatever. Kobe, you weren't here Thursday. Let's do this. I'll let you go first, sir. You get the privilege to go first tonight.
You just know that I'm not going to take any of the normal people away from y'all.
No, you can do what you want. I ain't gonna say no. Do you want to go solo or just keep us here?
Just keep us here.
Okay.
I think this is the team that kind of has escaped some people on the trash factor because we've kind of written them off already. I'm gonna go shout out our friends from Texas, the TCU Horned Frogs, who played the University of Georgia in a national championship last season to the tune of 65-7. They are currently 4-6, going to have to go 2-0 the last two to be bowl eligible, coming off of a national championship. And then a little loss to 29-26 to number 7 Texas. At one point, you were behind by 23 points and scored 20 in the fourth quarter to try to make that comeback. But man, TCU, what a fall from grace it really has been for you guys. I feel for you. I feel for your fan base because I think you see Georgia and you see these teams that can rebuild and reload and be competitive. And that's just not everybody, man. And right now, TCU, your team is back to being trash. And you all have to deal with that.
I saw, funny thing is, I was in the airport, man, and I saw some folks wearing some TCU gear, and I had my Georgia stuff on, and they looked, and they just kept moving. I was like, just keep it moving. They were
go ahead, my guy. I'll close it out.
Oh, no,
we're gonna go round robin a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. All right. I'm gonna do one right here. I'm gonna go. I got to do it. Oh man, I'm gonna do it. Penn State. God, Penn State, man, beautiful campus, beautiful area. Right, stadium. Listen, stadium. Loved seeing that stadium. But I'll tell you what I didn't love seeing is sitting there watching that game Saturday. Shit was a snoozer, and it was bad. It was bad. Listen, we already know you fired your offensive coordinator, and rightfully so, because that offense was a fucking disaster. Disaster, folks. Terrible. And, why did it look like Drew Aller was rattled at home? Like, dude, you're at home. You should not look like you're on the road, in a road environment. Just gonna and listen, you blew that shit up. It's time to blow it up. I think Franklin probably could go too. But Penn State, no disrespect, but a little. Your team is trash, and you have to deal with that. Your offense is trash. I'll be specific because your defense is. I like it. I like it.
Let them have it, Keon.
Well, we're gonna take this one to the ACC. Yeah, this is where the truth gets told. So Duke, University of Dukies, you Duke Devil dumbasses, you double down Duke dummies. Your football team and basketball team is trash. You already got a loss in basketball season already, and it just started. This is crazy. Your football team is absolutely trash, going into overtime and losing to the Tar Heels. I can't believe it, but I can believe it.
The problem is Duke lost with a backup quarterback. That's more telling on UNC being trash. They won, but come on now. Let's be serious.
Where's Riley Leonard?
He's hurt.
Oh, he's hurt.
Yeah, I said with a backup quarterback, you played to double overtime.
At healthy?
In Chapel Hill. In Chapel Hill, by the way.
Healthy, he's Daniel Jones.
Better than Daniel Jones. You know that.
Not at all.
Bullshit. You know that.
He is absolutely trash. That kid is trash.
Says the guy that pulls it. Says the guy that's team right down here drafted him.
Yeah, that's why I know.
No wonder.
I watched more of his film.
You pull for a team that's absolute trash to begin with. Why should I take your pick on like Daniel Jones? Sure, I'll give you that, but Riley Leonard will be better than Daniel Jones.
No, he won't. This kid is trash, bro. I'm sorry. This kid is garbage, dog. I'm sorry, and I hate to shit on people, but like, listen.
Daniel Jones never had a big win in his fucking life at Duke. At least he beat the fuck out of Clemson. Riley did.
All right. I'm a hop on Mitch's comment because that was actually the team I was going to look at next. Number 15, Oklahoma State. We just need to talk. You have a chance here to play in a Big 12 title game against Texas. You've beaten Oklahoma. You control your own destiny. You're the 15th ranked team in the country, and you have to go to the bounce house, a new member of the Big 12 team that hasn't really had a lot of success so far in year one, and you lose to the tune of 45-3.
Yeah.
God,
I'm
so proud of you.
Offensive touchdown.
I'm so proud of y'all. God.
I mean, Gus Malzahn just absolutely mopped the floor with you. Shout out Gus. I think the Gus bus is going to be back in the SEC probably this time next year. So guess we're all getting prepared for that.
Go to Mississippi State, baby,
or Arkansas. I think he will be the man that takes one of those two jobs. I really do.
100%. Also, go ahead. My bad.
I was just going to say that Oklahoma State. I mean, I tried to tell you the mullet's trash. It's time to get rid of him.
He did. He damn sure did.
Overdue for a new head coach. I feel like Oklahoma State's the Kentucky of the Big 12. Like, you're just okay sucking, and that's just not okay at some point. That's all I got.
Keon, do you want to go or you want me to go?
That's a 50-year-old man with a mullet, and y'all expected something out of him. You had to be fucking ashamed of yourselves.
Man. Keon, get the tables.
Oh, man.
Hold on. Listen, Keon, get the tables. We're going deep. We're going Dudley Boy style here. Tennessee. Bring that ass here.
Let's do it.
We're going
from
3D.
The top fucking rope.
We're going 3D on that ass. Thanks, Tennessee. Thank you, Tennessee, for clinching the SEC East for us without us having to even play the game.
Before they even showed up to the stadium.
And we tried to tell you. We tried to tell you that Missouri was a decent team. Oh, no. That Schrader guy, man. We got him. Good old record time. That's what I heard right there.
Mm-hmm.
Got that ass beat. But y'all about lost at Mizzou last year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
getting your forehead kicked in on the road.
Got your one little tooth knocked in too.
Schrader goes for 205 on the ground and 216 through the air.
Tennessee, you're fucking trash.
You had the one-man show absolutely embarrass you.
He just showed up and said, "Hey guys, don't worry. You see these? These are shoulders. Hop on. Gonna carry us to the promised land. Hey, hand me the ball. That's all you have to do. Now I'm gonna stand over here.
Shoot the J. Shoot
now
it.
Now I'm gonna stand over here next to Luther Burden. Throw me the ball."
It's officially basketball season in Neyland, in Knoxville, by the way.
100%.
Tyree, we don't even have to go vertical this Saturday. We just run it down their fucking throats. We'll be okay.
Truthfully, here's the problem about it, Tyree. We don't have to go vertical. Joe Milton is going to give us the ball. Like, he's going vertical to us. He's going to have a perfect passer percentage to the defense. I'm looking at 2 interceptions.
Some stats from the game against Missouri too. Leading rusher for Tennessee, Joe Milton, 10 attempts, 36 yards.
Okay.
The rest of the team had 47 yards of rushing. Joe, 22 for 34 for 267, a tud and a pick. And really the touchdown comes on that 46-yard catch by Dante Thornton, who is also going to miss our game.
He's going to miss the season with an ankle. Yeah.
So,
Damn.
Like you're saying, really running thin for that Tennessee receiving core, less than optimal quarterback, and obviously a run game that was supposed to be the best in the SEC that didn't even break 50 yards without the help of a quarterback.
It's okay. Squirrel White's supposed to be the next Jalen Hyatt, by the way. That's what I heard all offseason.
Yeah, no. No. I think this is going to be another game that Lad McConkey just goes crazy.
Jeff, me and Keon thank the joke of the 1-point underdog for Missouri.
Yeah.
Because that underdog, that upset was sweet.
Oh, 100%.
The freest upset picks we picked all year.
100%. I got to see. Matter of fact, wait, do you have our points?
We will pull them out Wednesday.
And
Well, speaking of, by the way, we'll pull those out Wednesday. So y'all keep it down. Keep it down. Juan picked Duvall's. Keep that in mind. So give him shit Wednesday, maybe. Guys, let's do another one. We went. Devon got the tables. Are you going Miami?
No, how about doing that when they lose?
Oh, fair point. I'm going Florida. How you gonna let one person have 600 yards of responsible total offense for themselves?
All right, so I started Jaden Daniels in my fantasy team.
Oh, you won easily,
bro. He had 145 points.
So some shit I've never seen. So by 4 p.m. on Saturday, I was losing by 112 points. Jaden Daniels gave me 116 points by himself. Mind you, I have Malik Neighbors.
Jesus.
Yeah.
My word.
I think the biggest thing for me for Florida, and it's not even this game, because obviously it's embarrassing what he did to them, but I also think the man's probably going to finish top 4, if not top 3 in Heisman voting, if not even higher at some point. But I think the embarrassing thing for them is you started the year off 5-2, and you play the Dogs and slip to 5-3. You are legitimately looking at right now, you have to play Missouri this week, who is, in our opinion, one of the best 3 teams in the SEC, and then you have to play Florida State. You are very, very legitimately looking at a losing season and not playing in a bowl game. And that's an issue down in Gainesville. As much as we like to joke and give them a hard time, even in their worst years, they don't do that very often.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a quick. Your team is trash to Georgia Tech because apparently you did some insider trading. Excuse me. You bought all the Clemson stock and sold that shit, didn't you? Because you got your shit pushed in by Clemson and let them believe in the stock. You about to go to jail for that. Insider trading. Just gonna leave that there.
Shout out, just like a very niche, your team is trash, to the Iowa Rutgers game that closed with the lowest under-over since 2000 with 27.5 total under-over, and the under still hit.
My God.
Rutgers didn't score. It was 22-0, and the under hit.
That is terrible. That's terrible. Oh my God.
I think it was 3-0 at the half. Hold on. It was.
No, I'm not gonna lie. If you hit on that under, you gotta run around screaming that, like, yes, I'm a genius.
It was 6-0 after the third quarter.
Ugh.
Yeah, see, I would have lost it. That right there. That's one of those ones you got to take a shot for that. You got to take a shot and light a cigar. You got to let it be known. Fucking balling over it. Crazy.
I mean, what about USC losing 4 straight now?
No, that was expected. I told y'all. I've been telling y'all since
I know.
before the season started.
Still doesn't mean that.
To be fair, too, I mean, they won by 1 point against Cal in the middle of that losing streak too.
Yeah,
49-50 when Cal went for 2.
Oh my word, Rutgers is trash. Apparently, no, that's a quality win if you're Ohio State, ain't it?
No, Michigan.
Sorry, Michigan. My bad. Can we? Yeah, listen. I'm going to start planting the seeds for this. Michigan, I think low key, team is trash. I'll tell you why. That run game that y'all hyped up and vaunted so much didn't look impressive to me.
Hey, look, Blake Corum was on my fantasy team. Appreciate it.
Good. I don't care a damn about your fantasy team. I'm just letting you know what I saw. I'm proud of you winning, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, belt to ass.
All I'm saying is, again, with Penn State, Michigan didn't attempt a pass in the second half.
What, were you scared to throw?
No, it was going to be a completion to the defense.
To the other team. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Any other ones, guys, before we wrap this one up?
Buffalo Bills, your team is trash. You just lost to the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football.
Oh, no way.
Actually, that helps me out a lot. So appreciate it.
Oh, that's right. It gets you one step closer to that first overall pick, huh?
Yeah, we're currently sitting at 2. So
behind the Bears.
No, behind
the Panthers.
No.
The Bears.
Yeah. I was saying the Panthers as Bryce.
I think the Bears' actual pick is at 5 right now.
Yeah, because they want to. Actually, I hope the Bears keep winning. That's for you, Tyree. I know that you're
that's
a Bears
my
fan.
Bears.
You're a Bears fan?
Uh-huh. I'm wanting.
Wait a second. No, you are not talking shit to me.
Oh yeah,
wait a second.
I do. Oh yeah.
Wait.
I want 100% out of the Caleb Williams talk. I don't want anybody pulling that trigger.
Do we want to hold on? Do we want to end this? Do we want to end this with a discussion?
No, because I got to explain this to the people who don't know. So, to the people who don't know, this guy has been up here talking the most amount of shit to me, and he has Justin Fields as his quarterback, who they have done nothing to help. Mind you, mine is just trash. The difference
is I don't say that I'm proud of my franchise and the choices that they have made.
Of course you're not. Y'all have never won a Super Bowl in your lifetime. I've seen 2.
Yeah. The one you saw against the Patriots. I mean, what would you
both of them
see that again?
They still had Devin Hester though. That was fun to watch.
The 18-0 one.
Just because they used to lose and look cool doesn't matter. They didn't win and look cool. We beat the greatest. We beat the greatest quarterback of all time twice. Fuck you, Michigan.
I saw he tweeted out bet the other day too. What a loser.
Yeah.
Your team is trash for putting out bet. If you put bet
Michigan versus everybody. Why do they always have the little things like Michigan versus everybody? A couple of years ago, they were talking about how good their O-line was when they were running the ball. It's just like, fellas.
Little red Corvette. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Tyree, make
No, that was cool.
I had to fix my hood, man.
I can't believe you've been talking so much trash to me. And then for everybody else who doesn't know, the last time that the Giants and the Bears played each other, we smacked them. I don't understand why he's been talking so much shit to me this whole time.
I feel like it's an appropriate level of shit. For as bad as our teams are, I feel like it's right on par for.
I thought his team was a good team. I'm like, I'm not even going to ask this guy because it's probably going to piss me off.
He's probably a Cowboys fan. Like,
Jesus.
I'm done with this conversation.
The Bears won't be good until the ownership sells. I'm 100% a believer in that.
They'll never do it though. They'll die off on it.
Yeah, and they'll give it to the kids.
Will always be bad.
There you go. Fields for MVP. Guys, any final thoughts? Let's put this Ole Miss game to bed. Any final thoughts, takeaways that we need to put back out there?
Lane Kiffin is the funniest coach in college football, and I think he needs to be respected as such. But that's only positive, and his dog looks cool, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway is Lane Kiffin coaching carousel begins starting this week.
Now,
I don't know if he is at Ole Miss this time next year.
Bama fans are looking at Ole Miss and be like, thank you for taking our garbage. And now you get to deal with that, by the way.
I don't know if I call Lane garbage.
No, I'm talking Golding, Pete Golding.
Yeah. Pete, it didn't look great, Pete. Sorry about it.
Didn't look great. Didn't look existent. Jesus.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes just not your night. You know what I mean? Like, we can't all be Kirby Jr. down there in Florida. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, fucking Jesus.
Speaking of, there you go. Just leave that comment right there, guys. Let's wrap this up, man. Catch y'all Wednesday, right? Wednesday night.
See you.
Hold on. First off, where are these Vols at? I ain't heard.
They know better.
Yeah, I was about to say they got to know.
I'm gonna draw them out. I'm about to draw them out.
I mean, they have to know better. I mean, they poked the bear last year. Now they know better. It's like
But we're going to Neyland. I thought Neyland was going to be a bloodbath for us.
Has the line opened yet? Are we 11?
10 point, if I'm not mistaken, unless it's changed. I saw it opened at 10. 10-point favorites. That might go up, yeah.
I can see that closing at like 13 and a half.
Boy, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? We're going to save it for Wednesday, though. Guys, that was a good show tonight.
Yes, sir. See y'all.
Guys, everybody have a great night. We'll catch y'all back same time, 10 p.m., right? Like, follow, subscribe. Leave us a review if you listen. Listen, make sure you hit that thumbs up, guys. It's free, by the way, too.
If you like it, leave a comment. If you don't, shut the fuck up and go Dogs.
Yeah, don't be cheap. It's free. Come on, guys.
Small piece of paper, roll it up tight. You know where you can put your finger.
Right up the anal sphincter, right? There you go. You gotta be terminal. All right, guys.
Dogs
we'll catch
on
you
top.
Dogs on top. The Vols, we coming. Like Booker T said, we coming for you. And go Dogs.
Go Dogs.